Hello again. On more than one occasion recently, people commenting here have mentioned passages from either the Hadith, which is the material about the Prophet's life which is not in the Quran, or from the Talmudic Gemara. This has been done in order to make slighting references to either Muslims or Jews. It struck me it might be amusing to do the same thing to Christianity and see how it sounds to people. That is to say, point out some of the things which Christianity demands and yet hardly anybody bothers to do. Let's start with something which was once, in accordance with Christian scripture, universal in the Western world: women keeping their hair covered in public. In 1 Corinthians chapter 11, St. Paul tells women to keep their hair covered at the very least when they're praying, but preferably all the time. He says, "But every woman who prays with her head uncovered dishonours her head. It is the same as having her head shaved. For if a woman does not cover her head, she might as well have her hair cut off. But if it is a disgrace for a woman to have her hair cut off or her head shaved, then she should cover her head." This was for almost 2,000 years interpreted to mean any woman who went around with her hair showing was little better than a prostitute. All the hair had to be covered with something very like a hijab. In the thumbnail to this video may be seen the kind of head covering which was commonly in use 500 years ago. Does anybody know a Christian woman today who wears a hijab when praying at home, saying grace at meal times and so on? What about in church? Has anybody seen any women covering all their hair with something like a hijab? And yet the demand for Christian women to cover their hair in this way is at least as strong in Christianity as it is in Islam. There is also, by the way, an implied prohibition on visiting the hairdresser or wearing jewellery. 1 Timothy chapter 2, which you can easily check. I'm taking my things from the Good News Bible, but it's the same in King James. "I also want the women to dress modestly, with decency and propriety, adorning themselves not with elaborate hairstyles or gold or pearls or expensive clothes." Gosh, Christian women shouldn't be wearing gold or doing their hair nicely, let alone buying designer clothes. How repressive. The next time we think about how some Muslims regard women, we might remember this. Still, it's surely true that in countries like Iran and Saudi Arabia, they have barbarous punishments like stoning to death and so on, don't they? Doesn't the Quran authorise such things, as well as the amputation of hands? It does. And this was also the case in America at one time. Take Massachusetts. In 1646, the General Court of Massachusetts Bay Colony passed the following law: "If a man have a stubborn or rebellious son of sufficient years and understanding, 16 years of age, which will not obey the voice of his father or the voice of his mother, and that when they have chastened him will not hearken unto them, then shall his father and mother, being his natural parents, lay hold on him, and bring him to the magistrates assembled in court, and testify unto them that their son is stubborn and rebellious, and will not obey their voice and chastisement, but lives in sundry notorious crimes. Such a son shall be put to death." It sounds like something from The Handmaid's Tale. Where on earth did Massachusetts get the idea of executing stubborn teenagers, people that cheat their parents? Well, that would be the Bible. Deuteronomy chapter 1, verses 18 to 21 says, "If someone has a stubborn and rebellious son who does not obey his father and mother, and will not listen to them when they discipline him, his father and mother shall take hold of him and bring him to the elders at the gate of the town. They shall say to the elders, 'This son of ours is stubborn and rebellious, he will not obey us. He is a glutton and drunkard.' Then all the men of his town are to stone him to death." Stoning to death, mandated in the Christian Bible, just as it is in the Quran. Who would have thought it? That Massachusetts law, by the way, remained on the statute book until 1973. Rhode Island and New Hampshire had similar laws. I won't labour the point, but all the things for which people criticise Islam and the stuff they ferret out in the Talmud are actually right there in the Bible. That's the one that we see on the lectern if we go to church. This is worth bearing in mind when people are telling me to read the Talmud for evidence of a plan for world domination or claiming that Islam is a barbaric religion. The Bible repays a little examination. I won't give any spoilers, but even amputation of the hand is ordered for one particular offence. The point I'm making is a simple one. Not even the most devout Christian today follows the advice about avoiding pearls or wearing gold jewellery. This is because we all know such matters are not the essence of the Christian religion. It is the same with the stuff which people are dredging up from the Talmud. They have no relevance at all to modern Judaism. They're just archaic curiosities.